am in such a raw and vulnerable moment right now, so I don't even know if this video is gonna make it to the internet, but if you're watching it, I guess it did, and knowing me, it probably fucking will, and then I'll have a huge emotional hangover afterwards. But I'm feeling called to talk about some shit, so it's probably gonna be long, as usual. It's probably gonna be about my own shit and my own processes, so it may or may not be helpful to you. My partner's out right now, and I'm home alone. And I could be out too if I really wanted to, but I don't know. I just wasn't really feeling it. And I think that's partly why I am coming here, because I think there is part of me that wants to connect in some way, or feel connected in some way, but I don't really want to make the effort to go make that happen or to be outside of my house. And I'm processing a lot, you know. I think my energy might be kind of heavy right now anyways. I don't know if I really want to burden anyone with that. I'm torn because sometimes I feel like, you know, doing the things that you don't want to do, like when you want to isolate, sometimes going against that actually is helpful, and then sometimes isolating is helpful. So I'm not really sure which one would actually be better for me right now, but I guess I'm choosing isolation either way. I've been going through a really intense transformative process the last few months, and it's been an emotional roller coaster. I've been up, I've been down, I've been all around. I've been excited for the ways in which my sensitivity is increasing, my intuition is increasing, my just everything is increasing, and sometimes it's very exciting, and then other times it's fucking terrifying and makes you question everything and just reminds you of like the great mystery of it all and how much you don't fucking know. But you know, I had a dream a long time ago. I'm struggling to figure out what order to talk about. I have like a number of things I feel like I want to talk about, which is why this is probably going to be long. And they're all kind of interconnected, and so it's hard for me to like figure out what order to put them in. So let's start with this. I've been in a period of heavy synchronicity for a while. I think this may possibly be the most and longest period of heavy synchronicity that I've ever experienced, because I've experienced things like this before, but I feel like I'm being stretched right now in my threshold of being able to take it for longer periods of time and to walk with it for longer periods of time. But it's like to the point where I'm just feeling like I'm in a permanent acid trip. Just like every moment of every day is talking to me, and I'm wondering if this is my new normal. And like I said, sometimes it feels really good, and sometimes it's very it makes me feel very ungrounded. And part of that is probably my own doing and not practicing the grounding practices that I should be practicing, especially with the weather kind of turning. It's a little bit harder for me to want to be outside, but I probably should anyways. I thought about doing that tonight, but it's cold and rainy out there, and I want to be comfortable. But yes, heavy synchronicity. And I feel like I have all these pieces to this puzzle and I don't have all of them. I don't have all the information. I think some other people have some pieces that they're going to be bringing in, and I have a loose timeline for that. But it is so frustrating in the moment to just have all these pieces that don't quite fit together. I need these other pieces for the picture to make sense. And this has also happened before. I actually have like a really crazy story of when this happened before, and those that are like close to me in my life have heard it. And I've thought about coming like online and like sharing it, which I probably will at some point, but it's kind of a lot. It's kind of a lot, and I get lost in it, and it makes me feel very ungrounded when I tell it. So I think I need to like write it out, and then, you know, press record. And I haven't done that yet. So yeah, I had all these pieces before. This happened before where I had all this information come to me, and I didn't know what any of it meant. And some of it applied to me and some of it didn't, which is also what's tricky about this, is when I have all these pieces, it's like I don't really fully know what applies to me, and what applies to somebody else, although I have my theories. My point is, I feel like I'm being asked to walk through a longer period of knowing without physical validation, which I am no stranger to. I do it all the time, but like I said, I'm being stretched. I am 100% being stretched right now, and it is very uncomfortable, and it causes me to doubt myself, even though I know that I just be knowing, you know, I just know things. I stay knowing things all the time. But when I have to go through these longer periods, it's like each one is a little bit longer than the last one. And the last one, it's like there hits a point where I start to just think, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm fucking crazy. And then of course it comes full circle and it all makes sense, and I'm like, ah, I knew it. I knew everything was working out for me. Why can't I remember it in these moments? It's tricky. And I know that I'm like so close to it too. That's what's so fucking frustrating. It's like I have like this bird's eye view kind of on the situation and on myself, and yet I am still having to exist in my human body, in the human experience, feeling all the things. It's like I know, but also like I'm still gonna have my reactions about it. My body's still gonna feel what it feels. It's gonna do what it do what it does, do what it does, and I have to be with that as well, even when I know what I know. But you know what? It's like the things that I'm being told right now, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's really intense, and I feel like I'm afraid to be excited for it. Man, I got so much fucking trauma up in this body. It's ridiculous. But I wrote some things down, and I kind of want to share them. I don't think I'm going to share all of them, because I just feel like that puts me in like far more of a vulnerable position than what I would like to be in. However, sharing this at all puts me in a vulnerable position. But this is what happened last time. The last time that this happened, I had all these pieces and I shared them with like a few people, you know, and so when things happened and I was like, oh my God, you remember I said that, I remember that when I said this, and like, blah, 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 you know, and, you know, a few people, like, you know, this person had a few pieces, and this person had a few pieces, and this person had a few pieces, so, like, it was, like, you know, they got it, but, like, there's no way to really fully impart this experience to somebody else, especially when it's so interwoven into like every moment of your reality. It's so hard to explain to other people like why things mean a certain thing, like why this is meaningful, why this stood out to me. But I've been telling Demetrius like every step of the way, like every little thing that I'm getting, so I at least have one witness. But I always get scared that I'm wrong, you know? It's like I'm given information and then I get scared that I'm wrong, so I'm scared to tell anybody. But then when it happens and I'm right and the pieces fit together, I have nobody to like share it with, you know? So it's like I think I'll share some stuff, some of the pieces that I have, and then maybe if I'm not crazy, I can come back here in a few months and be like, so remember how I talked about that thing and that thing and that thing? Well, here's how it all tied together. So this is also like incredibly vague. It's always incredibly vague because there are certain things, like especially this one. This time around, I'm being told that it's a surprise. Like there's a lot that I can't know, that they won't tell me. They being like my spirit team, intuition, God, like whatever you want to fucking call it. The place that I get my information from, they won't tell me. There are certain things that I don't get to know. I think I get certain pieces so that when things start happening, it's like it will make sense to me. It will feel right to me. I will understand that this is the thing, you know, and this is the way to go. It's like it helps me navigate the situations when they come up. But it's kind of like I like to talk about it like this. Like it's kind of, intuition is funny because we're still a human and we still have to be in the human experience and we don't get to know everything. And we don't have control over everything. There's a lot of things that we can't prevent or do anything about. And so synchronicity and intuition is really funny in this way. And it reminds me of like, millennials will get this one, like in That's So Raven, where she would like get these visions of what's going to happen, and then she would like try and stop it from happening or try to like change it or whatever, and then through the process of it she like makes the thing happen. It's kind of like that a little bit, but different. And like I get the pieces, but I don't really get to know like everything. Like I said, I feel like it's only to really help me like navigate or trust something when it does happen. It only makes sense when it comes together. In the leading up to the event or events, I don't know what it is. I just have pieces and I'm like, this is meaningful, I know that much, and it has something to do with something, but I don't know what the something is. And then the something happens and it's like, there you have it. So I have something about Texas. I actually have a few locations that keep coming up. There's something about Texas, Hawaii, Florida, LA. Texas is heaviest though. So I don't know if I'm going to meet somebody that's like from Texas. I don't know if I'm going to be going to Texas. I don't know if like, there's also something about like an offer coming through. Like, I also feel like there's things that are related to like relationships, but also things related to like career and money and financial stuff. And so there's like multiple things that are like wanting to come through right now, and I don't fucking know like really what they are. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be like relocating or if somebody is from one of these locations, or if I don't know. But I have these locations that keep coming up, but it's heavy on Texas. It was heavy on Hawaii for a while before, but it has switched. So those two seem to be of the most importance. I have a name of somebody, but I don't want to share it because it just feels weird. But this has happened before. I had a name given to me before that ended up being a thing. So I don't know if this person is, I think this person is alive. I don't think this is another one of those. Previously, it was someone that had passed, that I was given the name of. I think this person is alive, and I think this is someone that is going to be entering my life, and I believe I have the name, but I'm always leaving things open to, like, I could be wrong. I don't know. There's something about, like, whiskey and drinking, or, like, a drinking problem, or, like, drinking too much, or, like, drinking problems away. Like, I don't know what this is because I don't drink. So this tells me it's related to something else that is going to make sense, probably about somebody else. Something about a trip, travel on a trip, and things being planned behind my back. But, like, good things. Like, it's not, like, bad stuff, but, like, there's definitely, like, whispers of things that, like, involve me, but I don't know what they are currently. Again, I have some suspicions. I have some locations, so I don't know if I don't know if I'll be going to one of those places. I have, like, fast movement. Like, when this stuff starts to happen, it's gonna be like dominoes falling, right? And I have, like, a loose timeline, so it seems like somewhere around, like, my birthday, some shit's gonna start popping off, or, like, by Christmas, I believe, is when I'm supposed to, like, have some answers. What I'm hearing is that, like, I'm gonna be in a very different emotional space by Christmas than where I am now. So I feel like I'm gonna be having some answers coming in, but, like, when it starts happening, it's just gonna be like boom, 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 boom. Like, everything's gonna happen, like, very quickly, be very, like, life-changing, very, like, swift, decisive, like, focused movement. But it's like, when I first started hearing, like, the whisperings of this, it kind of freaked me out, because I'm like, oh my god, like, what is gonna happen? Like, it just stresses me out when things, like, move fast, you know, but it's silly, because it's not, when it's in alignment, I think I actually really like going fast, but it's sometimes when I first hear things like that, it's just like, wait, what? Like, what am I gonna have to change? What am I gonna have to let go of? Like, my mind starts really, like, spiraling out of control. However, the feeling that I'm getting is, like, it's gonna be, like, fast moving, but, like, we're moving into calmer waters. Like, we're moving from, like, this turbulence into calmer waters, which is kind of a weird thing to be, like, layered within itself, is, like, fast moving and yet also calmer waters. So that's a thing. I've also been getting some stuff about January just recently. So the like, end of November, beginning of December, Christmas time, all that was, like, heavy in the synchronicity and the intuition there for a while. And then just within, I'd say, the last week or so, I've been getting more about January, and I'm starting to feel like maybe January is when whatever is happening quickly in a few weeks, apparently, January is gonna be when it starts to, like, kind of, like, settle in, integrate, like, feeling like I can fully trust it, or, like, understanding, like, maybe that's when, you know, certain decisions will be made, and so we can kind of, like, maybe have some groundwork to, like, walk on or move forward with at that point. I don't know. These are just, like, the thing that's hard for me about sharing this kind of stuff is that, like, I don't fucking know, actually. So it's like, I the pieces I know, the pieces I have, I know, but a lot of what I'm saying too is, like, trying to, like, fill in the gaps, right? So it's like, when I get these pieces, my brain starts doing this thing where I'm, like, trying to make them fit together, and, like I said, it's like, I don't have all the pieces, so, like, where I'm making connections might not even be, like, a thing, but I'm just trying to make sense of it, and so this is my way of, like, making sense of it. These are just, like, the assumptions that I'm making or whatever. There's something about, like, celebrity, or, like, somebody I know of being involved with something, and I know that's, like, so weird, because it's like, okay, am I gonna, like, meet a celebrity? Is, like, somebody that's, like, I don't know. But there's something about that, and that might be like out in the future as well. That might not even be like a right now thing. I have no fucking idea, but however, I sense that might be tied to the name I have, but I'm also not sure. There's also something about like an age gap, and I don't know if this person is like younger than me. I feel like that's what I'm getting. Whoever this person is that I'm gonna meet or is going to offer me something like a job or like, I don't know. There's some sort of offer coming through, and I feel like this person is, it's interesting because I feel like there's actually multiple people involved here. One of them being younger than me, like there's some sort of age gap between the two of us. And this offer is like an offer I can't refuse. Offer I won't be able to refuse. There's also a lot of like coming from like intuition source energy of like, I'm gonna blow your fucking mind. Like, just you wait, like I'm gonna blow your fucking mind. Which is also like very intense, and it's like, it makes me want to be excited, but I'm like so fucking jaded when it comes to some of this stuff that it's like, okay, like I'll believe it when I see it. But it's like, I keep getting this feeling too of like, it is already done. It is already done. Decision's already made. Like, the thing is happening. So you can feel however you feel about it. And what you do right now, like, it matters, but it doesn't matter. Like, you could literally just sit on the couch and spend the next, like, however long, like, fucking watching TV and doing nothing. This is still happening. These things are still happening. These people are still coming in. It is written. It is decided. It is done. You don't have to lift a finger. That was a big one that was coming in for a long time. You don't have to lift a finger. You know, and in fact, I feel like at this point, what I've been given to do is like literally just busy work. It's like busy work that's going to benefit me. You know, like nothing is wasted time. And so I'm continuing to use this time to like work on myself and heal and like kind of shift into this more like softer receiving energy of not feeling like I have to grind so hard, and like being in a routine that feels really like at ease with my soul and with my body. And so I'm just like integrating into this like new way of being, and that is what I'm spending this time doing. But I also feel like that is going to happen regardless of like what specific activities I'm doing with my time, if that makes sense. Like, I am currently working on some a project for my work, and I also have like integrated some stuff just into my routines. And so there are like things that I'm doing, but like what I'm gathering is that like, don't stress too much about like what's coming in, because it's almost like this. Okay, this is what was coming in for a while too, is like, we can't tell you because like you're gonna overthink it. Like, you're gonna overthink it and maybe potentially sabotage it, or you're gonna start trying to like plan and prepare in ways that like you don't fucking need to. Like, you're gonna put in too much. And so it's like, I just have to continue integrating this new way of life that I'm experiencing, and like fully embodying this new version of myself that I'm stepping into. And that is like all I'm doing right now. And the tasks, the actual tasks are kind of just like this busy work kind of thing of like, through these tasks we're going to do that and figure out how to operate that way. But like, the tasks don't matter, really. Like, the tasks don't really matter at this point. Like, you could be doing anything with your time. And I think that's kind of the point, is that like, you don't need to stress about this, because it really, I'm so like, I have had to like fight so hard in my life. Like, I am really coming out of like what I was like born into and brought up in was like fucking chaos. And I've really spent a lot of my days walking in the darkness of it all, and I feel like I've gathered a lot from that. I feel like now I'm coming to a full circle point once again of like realizing why all the things had to happen the way that they happened, and I get it, but like my body is still like integrating out of that, right? Because I had to be in survival mode for so fucking long, and I feel like it's funny because I feel like I had to fight for everything that I have and have become, but I think that I would have ended up here regardless. But anyways, it's very hard for me to not feel like I have to do something to get what I want, or like when you tell me that like something's coming that I want, it's like I feel like I have to get prepared for it. Like that's how I've been operating for so long, is that I've really just had to be like on top of things. And I think that I've gathered what I needed to gather from that way of operating and from that way of life and all those things that I went through. And now we are entering into like a completely different stage of existence, like a completely different like timeline shift. Like we've branched off into like a whole other thing now, and so the mode of operating now is very different, and my body is still carrying all of this memory storage, and so while my soul knows what we're doing, and like I said, it's like I've got this like higher perspective, right? But my body is still I'm still a human. I'm still in a human body, right? So like there's a process, there's a 3D process that now has to happen as we transition into this new space, new mode of being. And my work in the unseen is taking up a much larger space in my life than it was previously. Before, I feel like it was like kind of running in the background, or it was something that I allowed to have space every once in a while, but it wasn't like something that I was really walking with all the time. And now it's something that I'm really walking with all the time. And again, it's another body process of I'm learning how to be a human with this increased sensitivity, and also with my mortality, right? Because I've been doing a lot of death work lately, a lot of work around death lately, which is also why I probably feel like I'm in such a raw and vulnerable state, because that is a very scary thing to face as a human. You know, I think fear of death is a thing that motivates like a lot of shit unconsciously that we don't realize, a lot of our behaviors and stuff. This video is getting really long, but I really don't give a shit. I don't know who's gonna watch this. This is just gonna be like my offloading like into the ethers, and it finds who it finds, or doesn't who it doesn't. Maybe this is just for me. I don't know. But sometimes I find these videos with other people and I love it. Like they always are like complaining like, oh, I'm so sorry, it's so long, and they like cut it short, and I'm like, no, like keep talking, tell me more, like I need to, you know. So it's like sometimes you think that these things are like useless to other people, or like because it's long and people's attention spans are like kind of short, it's like nobody's gonna watch this. But you know what, sometimes it's me watching it, you know. There are people that will watch it. But yeah, what do we want to talk about next? Death? We want to talk about death? Anybody? Yeah, so let's talk about death. It's funny because the other day I really wanted to come in here and talk about this. I had like so much coming to me that I was like, oh, I wish I like could go sit down there and talk about this, but I had to go to work. So I was like, okay, I'll talk about it later. But then by the time I was done with work, I was like so fucking tired and kind of like jumbled inside that I was like, it is not the time. It is not the time. So let's see if we can bring that file back up to the forefront here. I became obsessed with death when I was like 19. I had a boyfriend all throughout high school. I was with him for 5 years, and he passed away when I was 19. And that sent me down a whole rabbit hole of like death and mediums. I still have never like had a session with a medium, but my curiosity around that opened up, you know. Yeah, and I was just reading a lot of stuff, and I was watching a lot of stuff. That's when I was super hardcore into like ghost hunters and like any show that I could find about like mediumship and like talking to the dead and like and the afterlife. And near-death experiences has been another synchronicity that's been coming up a lot lately, which scares the fuck out of me, because I'm like, am I gonna have a near-death experience? Like, I really don't want to do that. But I'm kind of thinking maybe it's not about me, because this happened the last time I had all these like synchronicities coming through. There was a lot about a car crash, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get in a car crash, you know, and then it ended up not even being about me. So it's like, sometimes I feel like the shit that's like really scary, like I don't think that they want me to be scared. I feel like, what would be the fucking point of telling me something that I can't control happening that you know is going to scare me or freak me the fuck out? Like, why would you give me that information ahead of time? Like, just so that I can exist in like fucking anxiety and terror up until the point that it happens, you know? So I don't know. Unless I have some sort of control over it happening, why would you tell me something like that? So that's what leads me to believe that it's probably not about me. But anyways, yeah, rabbit hole around like all sorts of stuff like that. So that started many, many years ago. And then I had like a major spiritual awakening in my like early 20s. I want to say probably like 21, 22, 23, somewhere in there. Had a major spiritual awakening at that point that really made me believe. And I had hit a point where I was like, there's nothing. Like, and it was probably largely due to the fact that my boyfriend had died. And I just had hit a point where I'm like, there's nothing. This is all fucking chaos. There's nothing. Like, we're just existing here, and then we die, and then we don't exist, and we go into the ground, and we just, like, that's it. I had hit that point. And it was exactly at that point that the glory of God, like, really revealed itself to me, and it was loud as fuck. Could not ignore it. And I really thought some shit was going to take off at that point. And it didn't, you know? It was really fucking loud. And, you know, I had a relationship with another person that I think maybe that was part of it too, is things were being revealed to me, and I was trying to tell him things, and then, you know, we ended up parting ways. And so I think there was a lot around that time period for that to be significant. And then it got quiet again, you know? For a while there was things, you know, there was synchronicities, there was little things, but it was kind of like sprinkled throughout, you know. It like wasn't as intense as it is now. It wasn't so like all consuming of like, oh my god, my reality, what is so I've continued to explore things, you know, and remained curious about shit. But I think that there are other things that I needed to do in my human life, so it's like we really can't like make this an all-consuming thing, right? We have other things to explore here. So that's what I was doing. And then I had another massive spiritual awakening. This is the biggest. The one I'm in now is definitely the biggest, but they've gotten increasingly intense each time. So yeah, another big, and this is when the story that I will tell eventually happened. And it was right before I became pregnant with my daughter, which I also think is why this happened at that time. So massive spiritual awakening moment, crazy synchronicity, weird shit. All happened this summer before I got pregnant with my daughter. And then it got real fucking quiet. And they told me that was gonna happen. That's what's so funny, is that I got that message before I got pregnant. It was like, and I can't remember exactly how it came through or the exact words, but it was like, it was kind of this feeling of like, okay, the magic's gonna disappear for a little while. And so I had my daughter, and I was in the throes of new motherhood, and went through a major depression, dark night of the soul, lost myself, time that I'm only just now beginning to come out of. And I think that it got really quiet again because I had human things that I needed to focus on. And I had a child that I had to keep alive. So it was like, you know, we gave you this like teaser of what's to come, something to ponder for a while, something to maybe give you a little faith. But yeah, it's like now everything's gonna level out and quiet down, and you just focus on being a mom and taking care of yourself and finding yourself again and blah 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 blah. And then my grandma died in 2020, and that one really fucked me up too, which brought me back to revisiting the death thing again. Throughout this whole process, I was like fascinated with it always, you know, but I think when my grandma passed, it really, like, honestly shut me down to the whole thing. Death became less of a fascination and more of this thing that scared the fuck out of me, that felt like it could rob me of the people that I care about at any fucking moment. Like, so one day someone's here and the next they're gone, and they can seem like they're in perfect health. Doesn't matter. Again, it was another moment of like, there's no rhyme or reason to fucking any of this shit. Like, even though I, from experience, knew otherwise. And I think from that moment on, death has been kind of like knocking at my door, wanting to be known by me. And I have just numbed it out. You know, I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I could feel this like, this just like black pit within me just begging me to be present with it, and I just could not. I could fucking not. And I was having for many years since then, 2020, I mean, this is like 5 years now that this has been whispering to me at night or in quiet moments of like stillness when I was receptive to anything at all. But I would just shut it down, you know. It scared me. It scared me to think of like what was on the other side of that, or what it wanted to tell me, or and now I find myself coming to a place of like I'm like, okay, what do you want to tell me? I am terrified, but I'm listening, you know. And this, let's bring it full circle to what started me on this story, is that I had a dream one time that, couple dreams actually that tie into this. I had a series of dreams where I died. For like, I'd say this is probably like a week or two of just like every night I was like experiencing a death experience in my dream, but they were all the same. Like, they were all like very traumatic and like seemingly would be very painful, but every time I would leave my body before the pain set in. So like one of them, I was like in a burning car and I like couldn't get out of it, and I remember thinking like, oh my god, like how much is this gonna hurt? Like, I'm about to be like burned alive. Like the realization was sinking in of like, oh my god, I'm gonna die here and I'm gonna be burned alive, and this is gonna be so painful, and how long am I gonna be in this pain? It was like all these thoughts were like coming so fast, you know. And before I was fucking touched by a flame, before I felt any pain, I lifted up out of my body, and I remember this like it fucking happened. It was so real. And I just started like floating up out of the car and into the sky, and I could feel the wind like rushing past me, you know, and I could feel like all, like the weightlessness of it all. It was like my body just like wasn't there anymore. And the further up I got, the more weightless I felt, and all of my human worries and burdens just began to like leave me, and I became overwhelmed with just this feeling of like just like love and warmth, and like this feeling of just returning home, you know, like I was just going back home, and I fully accepted it, and was actually like, felt so good to go, you know. So that's one piece of what I like regularly remember to comfort myself. And then another piece is I had another dream, which is so funny. You know what? I can't believe I'm even talking about this, because there's been a lot of synchronicity about dreams lately too. But my dreams lately have been very like random and strange, and like I'm trying to kind of like make sense of them, but I'm just like, I'm not totally sure. So I'm like, maybe it's like, look back, like you can trust this information kind of a thing. Anyways, I had another dream where it was almost like I was like in a room, but it was just like just white, right? It was just like white. I almost feel like my memory has been wiped of this, right? And so it's very foggy, and I can only remember pieces of it, right? Because it's like I could see these beings, like it was like I was meeting with the council, but I can only like in my memory see their like shadows a little bit. Like everything was just like white and foggy, like when you're in the fog, you know, and you can't really see much, but like heavy fog, right? And so it's like I can kind of see just like the shape of them. And I remember getting to ask all of my questions. Any question I could have, I could ask it and get all of my answers. And so I don't remember what I asked. I don't remember what I was told. I know that I asked things, and I know I was told things. All I remember is the feeling of having the answers. Again, I don't know what the answers were. I don't know what information I received, but I remember how I felt having all of the information that you could ever have in the world, in the universe. I remember having the information and how at peace I felt having it. And so going on this journey, that is the thing that I continue to hold on to, is that as terrifying as it is right now to face things like death and the nature of reality and what am I gonna find, no matter what I have to go through to find the answers, I know where I'm ultimately going to end up. And so I feel like that is honestly the only thing that is allowing me to continue moving through this journey and facing whatever comes of it, is that I feel like I know where it's leading, which means that as terrified as I am now, whatever I'm gonna find can't possibly be as bad as my fears are. So yeah, I don't know if I'm even gonna edit this because it's so fucking long. I know there's gonna be like dead space and shit, but I might just throw this up on the internet and see what happens. I might just throw it up on YouTube and see what happens. I don't know if I want to share it to Instagram and TikTok where people from my actual life are. I think I like the idea better of it just going to random people I don't know, or potentially nobody. So yeah. This is the deal that I'm going through right now. And okay, yeah, so back to like death and the fears, right? And what I have to remember is that, but when I think about like what my actual fears are, this is what I'm currently facing. And I'm going to explain what I've gathered so far, but I don't think I have the full picture yet. So just like keep that in mind. I think I have a very hard time with the idea of when I die, just becoming indistinguishable from the whole. It's like this is like a definitely like we're going through like an identity ego death kind of a situation right now, because I have beliefs that we all like come from source, right? And I've thought for some time, I'm like, wouldn't it be weird if like literally every person that you come in contact with is like actually you, but like having gone through different experiences and like in a different body. And I think that there's something to that, because we all come from like source, right? So it's like, I am, what is there's like a Beatle, I am you as you, or we as he, we or she as he, whatever, like it's that, right? Like you are me and I am you, but we're in different physical bodies and we have walked a different path in life, and so therefore you have ended up where you have ended up with your beliefs and your personality and your whatever, but we are the same thing. Like, which is, it's tricky because it's like in that way we really should have compassion for everybody, even the people that are like terrible, because it's like that person is you if you were placed in the circumstances that that person was placed in. So like, let me use like my partner for example, like Demetrius Rogers, age 33, in the year 2025, this is the result of where I would end up if I was placed in that body and born into the circumstances that he was born into. I, Ariana Robinson, age 30, almost 34, year 2025, this is where you end up when source is born into this body at this time in these circumstances. Like, we are all the same. It's all one thing, right? So in some ways I feel like that helps you develop compassion for people, but at the same time, for me, that I develop a major fear around that, because it starts to make me feel like I'm not real, or this isn't real, or like something like that. Like, not having some sort of individuation freaks me the fuck out, you know? Or the thought of like going back to source and becoming this indistinguishable thing and completely losing this identity or this like soul, like my soul. It makes me feel like I'm gonna lose my soul or something, you know? Like, I'm just a drop in the ocean, and as soon as I'm put back in the ocean, I'm indistinguishable from the ocean. I'm just no longer like, I am and I'm not. I don't know. It's weird. It freaks me the fuck out when I think too much about it. However, what came to me the other day was like, okay, I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. And I know that I'm not going to be able to figure it out as much as I want to. You have to leave room for just the mystery of it all, and some things are unknowable, okay? That's what I just went over in my last session with my mentors. Some things are unknowable, and you just have to accept the great mystery of it all, okay? But I'm going to keep seeking while I'm alive, right? So how do we want to articulate this? I almost feel like this should be like a live or something, but I have too much anxiety for that, and I know that what needs to come out is not going to come out if I do this live. But this would make more sense as a live with the length of it. Anyways, I was getting this feeling of like, you're not losing yourself to go back to source. If anything, you are becoming more whole, more full. It's like you are just an extension of that thing, but that thing is you, right? So like, this fear I have around losing myself to the thing, to the blob, to the ball of light, that's how I envision it in my brain, is not a thing. Because you're not losing yourself. If anything, you're coming back to yourself. If anything, the version we are in now is the lost version, you know, is the separation, even though we're not really separated, we're an extension of, we're an ember of, we're a drop of. And so to go back to that is not to lose yourself. Like, for example, if you have like a cup of water and you drop a drop into it, it's like all of those drops make up that water. Without all of those drops, that water's not there. So it's like you're still there in it all. This is just one version of you. But you don't lose yourself when you go back into that. Like I said, if anything, you become more yourself. It's like a reunion. You become more whole. You become more, you're then integrated. I think that it's less of a becoming lost and more of a going home and a remembering and a I think we just get so attached to our identities, like, as humans, like, but where does Ariana go, you know? But there's, like, a bajillion gazillion versions of Ariana and a bajillion gazillion infinite timelines, you know? So, I don't know, it all becomes a lot to imagine, like, all the timelines that this specific character could live, while also integrating the idea of every other person being on planet Earth also being you, and all of the timelines that are possible for that character also playing out. And it's just like this infinite branching of Source knowing itself through us. You know what else came to me too is that, so I'm not like religious. I don't know if you can tell or not. I'm not religious, but I'm obviously very like spiritual and believe in something, right? So I have had a saying that it's all over the place, right? I've actually been thinking about getting it tattooed on myself, and I talked about this in a video. It's like the background on my phone. I have like a thing on my wall, and the quote is, "Be still and know." And it has been something that I've carried with me for a really long time, because that is what has led me through my life, is being still and knowing and trusting that knowing. And so I leave it everywhere as like a reminder of like, you know, you have the answers. Just be still and know. And that's how I've navigated my life. And like I said, I made another video talking about the 2 quotes that I use to get through everything in my life. One is, am I gonna lose it now? I don't even fucking remember my own fucking mantras. Oh, what is the next right step? Be still and know, and what is the next right step? And that is how I've navigated everything, right? I get still, I breathe, I listen, and then when the next right step presents itself, I just focus on that thing. And I don't focus on all the other shit, because we can really get future tripping on some shit and it stops us from doing anything at all. So, what is the next right step? Be still and know. Let's go, right? So, where was I going with this? Oh, okay. And I've left the quote at that everywhere, right? And I know that it's a Bible quote. I know that that is where it originated from. It's like, be still and know that I am God. And it's like goes on from there. And I have read the whole thing. I know it. But I've left that part out because I was using it very much as like, a tool for self-referencing, rather than a tool for relying on this like outside source, right? And I think that's what a lot of people use it for, is like, be still and know that I am God. And it's like this way of trusting God to like work in your life. And something came to me recently. I think I was like literally in the middle of a service. I was like doing someone's nails, and it like just came through so fucking clear, and I had to sit there and pretend like I didn't just have this like major epiphany. And I feel like when I say it out loud, it's probably gonna sound like very simple and stupid or like not groundbreaking, right? But the way that it hit me, it's like these things can't always be communicated in words, you know? It's like they come through in feelings and colors and pictures and visuals and visions, and like it comes through more fully intuitively than when I try and articulate it. But it was like this, be still and know that I am God. It's not a be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God, right? I am. And I know that that's like blasphemous to a lot of people. And for a long time, I didn't understand that when people would say like, I am God, because I feel like so much of my intuition or guidance has seemingly felt like it was coming from something and coming through me. So it felt like I was being led through my life. And so it was hard for me to say, like, I knew that I was like some sort of creator force and that I had power to manifest and manipulate my reality, right? I knew that, but I wouldn't go so far as to say I am God, right? I couldn't quite get there. And it sounds very like, I think to a lot of people, it can sound very like, oh, like just a lot of people don't like that. Like it's like you're taking away the power of God, or like, I don't know, doesn't matter. We don't need to go into all that, but it wasn't resonating for me until I was starting to make this shift of like being the extension of source, of God, which then would make sense to say, be still and know that I am God. That which imbues its life force in everything that is also within me. I am a part of and also all that is. And when it first came through too, it was like, well, then why don't you just fucking say that? Why don't you just say, be still and know that you are God? And it was like, because I can't say you. There is no separation. There is no you and I. There is only I. So it wouldn't make sense for the verse to be like, if God, like, okay, if this is, again, it's hard to articulate. It's like you kind of have to say things in a way that's like not right in order to get the fucking point across. So it's like if God was talking to you, right? It's like, I can't say to you, be still and know that you are God, because we are, I am, like it is the same thing. Like that's the point. I, and I, like there is only one. There is only one. There is no you and I. So it also would not make sense to say, be still and know that you are God. If God was talking to you and telling you this. It is only I am. Be still and know that I am God. And it's not this outside thing, which is also probably why it made more sense to me originally and why it resonated so heavily as a self-referencing tool, because that is what it was saying. But it's been taken a different way, and people have used it in a different way as this thing of relying on this outside source to take care of you, instead of realizing that you are the outside source. That outside source is within you. It is within me. It is within you. It is within the dirt and the plants and the trees and the air and the wind and the fire and it's all like, There's no difference between me and that fucking crinkled up leaf on the street over there. It is all God, source energy, which is also within me. And so when you really fully embody that, you walk through life very differently. However, I still have a lot of fears wrapped up around all of this, and so I still feel like when I first wanted to talk about this and then it didn't happen, I kind of again had a thing come to me later on too about well, maybe it's good that I don't talk about it yet because I don't really have a full understanding of it yet, and I don't want to spread information that's not quite right. Usually I try to wait until a thought or a thing is fully flushed out before I come on the internet talking about it, because I feel like there's a whole lot of people that come on the internet and talk about shit that they have no business talking about, and it spreads a lot of fear and false information, and it just confuses people further. But I guess if you're listening to this, know that I don't actually fully know what the fuck I'm talking about. I am simply just navigating this life as a human being, as Ariana Robinson. And this is what I've gathered. So this is how I'm making sense of it. Doesn't mean I'm right. But seems to be working for me so far, so. And not at the same time. I don't know. Life is weird as fuck, and I get really tripped out on it sometimes. But yeah, that's the shit I'm on right now. And what's funny is because some of it feels very basic to anyone that's been on a spiritual journey. I know that I don't know that I've really said anything that was majorly groundbreaking, or there's nothing new. I haven't said anything new. Everything that I've said is stuff that people have talked about and I've heard mainly, but a lot of it was not stuff that clicked together or clicked in place until it was something that came through here. People can say whatever the fuck they want to say, but until the message comes through you and is presenting itself into your reality in a way that you can no longer deny, and it's no longer really theory or a thought experiment, sometimes it's just not the same. And that's a lot of what's been happening with me lately, is a lot of things that were previously beliefs I had, or things that were just, they were theories and thought experiments. So it sounds weird for me to say these things like they are new epiphanies to me, because everything that I've said here is stuff that I've thought about for a very long time. For many years. I've been on my bullshit for, like I said, since I was in some ways since I was, 21, 22, 23, but in other ways my whole life. So, none of this is new information for me. I think a lot of it is more around it actually becoming my reality and making itself apparent in my reality in very tangible and in some ways intangible, but very tangible ways that I can no longer ignore, that I can no longer brush off, that I can no longer write off, and I can no longer be oh, maybe I'm just making meaning of this, or maybe I'm just, I don't know, maybe it's just a thing I think. Yeah, can no longer say that. Can no longer say that. It's no longer make-believe anymore. And I think the fact that I'm experiencing it and on this wave, and somehow, I want to say by the grace of God, not in psychosis, I'm still managing to function as a human being. I have a job, I pay my bills, I have a family, I'm still somehow managing to be a human being. I feel like I'm not totally crazy. I'm still playing the human game. But I feel like I'm very heavily walking between two worlds right now. and maybe forever. I feel like I went through a door that I can't go back through. Like, and I knew this too. There was so many synchronicities about this before this shit started to unfold. And maybe I should have known. It's like I've always wanted this. I've always wanted to be really in tune in this way. But when it really starts happening, it's like it's not what you think it is. And that's honestly originally what sent me on this wanting to record this video in the first place, is that I was kind of here and I was just in the shit, right? And I was crying and just feeling it. I'm sad, you know, like there's some shit going on that just doesn't feel good right now. You know, I'm facing a lot of hard shit right now. It's hard because there's so much duality, right? It's not all doom and gloom. There's a lot of great things happening in my life right now, while also some hard shit. I'm grieving and I'm scared, and I'm moving forward, you know, with or without anybody, honestly. Like, I'm really trying very hard to hold everything with an open palm. Nothing is mine to keep. No one is mine to keep. And I'm just moving forward into whatever is going to present itself into my reality, seemingly very soon. But my point is, I'm going through a very hard time. And I don't know how things are going to actually unfold. And it's very scary. And I was having a moment of feeling like, damn, you know, this is the shit they don't fucking talk about. Or when they talk about it, they don't really, like, it's not conceptualized to the reader, I don't think. You know, I feel like so often, like, spiritual awakenings and spirituality is talked about with so much, like, love and light and la la la. You know, and it can be that. It can be that. But you know what? They don't talk about the part where you got to walk through hell to get to that. They don't talk about the part where you have to face the deepest, darkest crevices of your own soul, your own darkness. They don't talk about how it is also darkness. It is not just love and light, it is also darkness. And coming to a place where you can own those things within yourself, that you are both and you hold both things, and loving yourself in that entirety, and finding ways to navigate both sides of that experience, and the way that you will constantly be coming back around to both, you know. And how do you enjoy, you know, the love and the light and the happiness and the fun, knowing that the wheel will then turn inevitably back into the darkness and the sadness and the anger and the, you know, the things that maybe aren't negative, but we certainly don't, you know, the way that humans operate now, we don't like feeling those things, you know. But then also being in that and knowing that eventually the wheel will turn, and this too shall pass, you know. And I'm really in the darkness as of lately, and part of me is enjoying it. Weirdly, part of me is enjoying it. Part of me is reclaiming parts of myself that I think are hot as fuck, honestly, and primal, and like, you know, it's like there's this fucking like rip your heart out of your chest and fucking eat it kind of like goddess energy that is like really training me right now, and I'm just loving that aspect of it. But there's also, you know, the wounding that is calling my attention, and you got to walk through that shit, man. And that is spirituality too, and that is the spiritual awakening, and those are the parts that people avoid. But fuck if they aren't the actual juiciest. That is the juiciest shit. That primal, animal, dark shit within you. That's where the fucking magic is. That's where the embodiment is. That's where the self-trust is built, and the power is built. When you can walk through fucking hell and come back with wings, I tell you what, become pretty unfuckwithable at that point. And that's, you know, I'm feeling that too. That's what's hard. There's so much duality right now. Like, I feel like part of me is like, fuck, this is hard and it hurts and I'm sad and I'm mad and like, ugh. And also, I want to cry. Like, it's all that. But then at the same time, I'm just like, yes, like, rah. Like, just look at my fiery wings. I have wings. Look at my claws. Look at my talons. Look at my teeth. It's all that shit too, you know? It's like, I'm a fucking dragon. I breathe fire. And also, I am dust. I am dust on the floor and in the wind, and it's really a journey for sure. It's a very strange journey. And it makes me want to scream and cry and yell and thrash my body around, and also be still and quiet and breathe. Yeah, duality and temperance and all of this stuff is a thing. And it causes me to struggle to even define myself at all, or to talk about myself at all, because it's like, as soon as I go to try and define myself as one thing, or describe myself as one thing, or to say that something is true about myself, at the same time it's also false. I am not always that thing. I don't know, I'm kind of wanting to wrap this up, honestly. I've talked for a long time, and actually it's been very cathartic. So, whether it's helpful to anybody else, it has been helpful to me, and I feel like I've talked about a lot of things that I have wanted to talk about in like a shorter form. However, sometimes I feel like the true nuggets of wisdom, of divinity, are hidden within things that require you to have an attention span, or to really get to know a thing or a person. They're hidden in there. And so maybe it's really only for the people who want to dig into that will find it. So yeah, I'm gonna go. Love you, bye.